Hello and welcome back. We are continuing Nancy Drew number 1, The Secret of the Old Clock. We are on the final chapter, chapter 25, A Reward. I suppose you've heard about the Tompkins, Carson Drew remarked to his daughter one morning after some months after the reading of the Crowley Will. Why, no. What about them? They're practically in bankruptcy. Richard Tompkins has been losing steadily on the stock market of late. After his failure to recover the Crowley fortune, the bank reduced his credit. He's been forced to give up his home on the avenue. No, really? How that must hurt Miss Tompkins and the two girls. Yes, it's undoubtedly a bitter pill to swallow. They are moving into a small house this week, and from now on they'll not be able to carry themselves so high. I hope they don't try to make any more trouble about the will, Nancy commented. Goodness knows they made enough already. The Tompkins had not given up the Crowley estate without a bitter battle. They had put forth the claim that the will Nancy had unearthed was a forged document, but they had been unable to prove their statement. The case had finally been thrown out of court. As administrator of the estate, Carson Drew had advanced the Horner girls and Abigail Rowan a portion of their inheritance. Several weeks before, Nancy had visited Abigail and was delighted to find her in surprisingly good health. She had secured medical attention, and a trained nurse was in constant attendance. I believe I'll run out into the country today and visit the Horner girls, Nancy told her father. They telephoned yesterday and asked me to come. They hinted they had something special to tell me. Perhaps they're going to reward you for finding the will, Mr. Drew suggested. Oh, it's been nearly a month since they said anything about it, Nancy returned carelessly. By this time, they've probably forgotten all about it. After luncheon, she set off for the farmhouse in her blue roadster. It was a beautiful autumn, and Nancy Drew thoroughly enjoyed the ride. As she came within sight of the farmhouse, Nancy was astonished at the transformation which had taken place. The house had been given a fresh coat of white paint, and a bright green roof replaced the old one. The yard was well kept, and beds of hardy plants had been set out. The, in the barnyard, many new hen houses were going up. Perhaps the most surprising thing was the large number of chickens in evidence. Welcome to the chicken farm, Allie Horner cried enthusiastically as she ran from the house to greet Nancy. I never saw so many chickens in all my life, Nancy declared. All Leghorns, too, Allie told her proudly. By this time, Grace Horner had reached the roadster, and she too gave Nancy a hearty welcome. Allie is in her element these days, she laughed. She's putting in incubators, and from now on will raise nothing but high-grade fowls. You must see everything, Allie insisted. Nancy was piloted from one place to another. She saw the new chicken houses which were being built and the incubators, but the thing which pleased her the most was the realization that Allie and Grace were happy in their work. Well, I must be getting back to River Heights, she remarked it after a time. Oh, you can't go yet, Allie interposed with a quick glance at her sister. You tell her, Grace? We asked you here today for a special reason. Grace began a trifle awkwardly. You see, we've been thinking for a long time that we've never done a thing to show our appreciation for what you did. We've talked with the others, and everyone has agreed that we should reward. Oh, I don't want a reward, Nancy broke in. I wanted to help. Anyway, it was fun for me. But we wanted to do something really handsome, Allie cried in disappointment. It doesn't seem fair not to give you a reward. There's only one way you can reward me if you really want to, Nancy said after a little hesitation. How? Allie and Grace demanded in one breath. Well, it may sound silly, but I would like to have the Crowley clock for my very own. And is that all you want? Grace questioned in disappointment. We'll be glad to give you 100 clocks if you will only take them. Just the old Crowley clock. That's all I care for. And if you particularly want it yourself, oh goodness no, Grace assured her quickly. It doesn't keep particularly good time. And we have more heirlooms now than we know what to do with. Wait a minute, and I'll get it for you. She disappeared inside the farmhouse, returning in a few minutes with the old-fashioned timepiece. She handed it to Nancy. You're more than welcome to it, she declared warmly. But it isn't a reward at all. It's the only reward I want, Nancy replied, smiling at the two Horner girls. I don't see what you want with the thing, Allie commented. It's not much to look at. Nancy did not reply at once, but gazed meditatively at the clock. Truly, it was not handsome, but for her it had a peculiar appeal. She could not explain to Allie and Grace just why she prized it, for her feeling was something she could not put into words. Certainly, she was attached to it because of its suggestion of her recent adventure. I wonder if I'll ever have another half so thrilling, Nancy thought. As she stood gazing wistfully at the old clock, she could not know that before many months had passed she would be involved in a mystery far more baffling than the one she had just solved. Her adventures, recounted in the next volume of the series, The Hidden Staircase, were before her. Nancy Drew did not have the power of projecting herself into the future, and yet as she looked down at the timepiece she seemed to know that exciting days were soon to come. "I'll always prize this clock as a trophy of my first venture as a detective," she said quietly, turning to Allie and Grace. "It will serve as a pleasant reminder of a thrilling adventure, and who knows, perhaps as a promise for the future." And that was the end of chapter 25 and the end of Nancy Drew #1, The Secret of the Old Clock. Please like and subscribe and have a good day.